What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and we start a new week continuing to talk about what we heard, what we saw from OTAs, and quite frankly, what we are starting to now expect from this Jets offense as we move forward. I mean, listen, over the last few years, the Jets defense has been one of the stronger units in the NFL, and with the addition of Aaron Glenn as the head man, Steve Wilks, a good veteran defensive coordinator, and some of the talent, quite frankly, we have that we've already had, like a Sauce Gardner, like Jermaine Johnson coming back, and other additions, we expect that to be good. The open question, really, for a lot of people, the doubt for a lot of people has been around the offense. Would Justin Fields take a step forward? Do they have a good enough offensive line? Will they have enough playmakers? And I really believe that some of the things we have seen in OTA, some of the additions that have been brought in, really help solidify that question. Now, one thing that has never been in question is that we have a true wide receiver one in Garrett Wilson. And so Aaron Glenn was asked, what about the rest, right? A lot of people have been wondering, should we sign another wide receiver? The Keenan Allens, Amari Coopers, Gabe Davises of the world. I have continued to say here, no, we do not. That the brain trust here for the green and white is confident in the people that we have, the playmakers that we have, and the roles they are going to play. And that was echoed by Aaron Glenn at OTAs. Listen to what he's had to say, not only about Garrett Wilson, but about the rest of the playmakers on offense in support of Garrett Wilson. He goes, all of our guys are going to have to step up. It can be a veteran or a young guy. We have guys that can make plays for us, and that's at every level. I'm expecting all of our guys to step up and take the burden off Garrett. He's going to have his chances. He's going to get doubled. Yeah, he's a good receiver. But when you do that, it leaves someone else in a one-on-one situation, and I'll take that with our guys all day. To remind you, okay, Garrett Wilson is absolutely a stud wide receiver one and has been performing like that for the last couple of years. I mean, his targets were literally top 5 in the NFL, 4th in the NFL with 154 targets. His 101 receptions last year were 4th in the NFL among wide receivers. And so he's going to be his guy. All right, and he's going to get attention, to be sure. But it sounds like Glenn really does believe in the other guys we have. And the thing I picked out of that quote is when he says, at every level. I really believe, and he says, veterans or young guys, really talking about the entire scope of what we have. And I have been telling you about the intentionality of the roles that some of these wide receivers will play. And I think that was part and parcel of Aaron Glenn's comment as well, at every level. He talked about the backs coming out of the backfield. All right. He talked about, when you say every level, we talk about the deep threat, Arian Smith, that we have talked about here on Jets Latest. Underneath guys like a Mason Taylor, like a Josh Reynolds, right? We've talked, even kind of short yardage, things like bubble screens, right? Things like the pop passes that we now see in the NFL with a guy like our Yak King, Malachi Corley. So I think it's important that Glenn referenced that every level of the field and young guys, veterans at every position, including the running back and the tight end. Garrett Wilson is going to be a target monster the same way he has always been. And remember, his 154 targets last year was with Devontae Adams also being top 10 in the NFL in targets on the other side with about 140 plus, right? So G5 is going to be G5. But he's talking about how everybody else is in position to step up. And I think that is really, really important. One of the guys that we all believe can take a step up and really kind of emerge is the second round pick out of LSU, Mason Taylor. A lot of people have really been excited ever since he was drafted. Remember, we were going to get Tyler Warren in the first round. We didn't, and we got Membu, which I thought was the right move here on Jets Latest. We were going to trade for Dallas Goedert or trade for Kyle Pitts. No, we decided to go young, get our guy in-house with the second round pick out of LSU. And a lot of people already know about what he can do in the past passing game, right? I've talked about this. LSU record for tight ends, 100 plus catches, 1,000 plus yards. Only dropped one ball last year, so that's sure-handed along with Josh Reynolds and kind of roll here. But remember last week we talked about no block, no rock, and that is a piece of Mason Taylor's game that Aaron Glenn has been impressed with in OTAs. Check out what Glenn had to say about the second-round pick. He goes, he's been doing an outstanding job. It's not just the pass catching, because that's what you guys see. It's the blocking that gets me going, because I know what he can do in the pass game. For him to come out and do the things he's doing in the running game, understanding what he's supposed to do, the position, the leverage, all of those things. I really love it when it comes to the run game. And remember, what have we said as one of these kind of calling cards? The versatility. We know he could do it in the pass game, but Mason takes pride about the run blocking. Aaron Glenn is seeing that, and with that no block, no rock kind of slogan, that emphasis put on the receivers, other people in the run game besides just the offensive line, that is the tight end as well. And so I think that is very important, and I think it's a good sign that as a rookie, that blocking is there. A lot of times tight ends coming out of college, the blocking is the harder part to get. The tight end position in college is dramatically different than at the NFL level, okay? And that's why at times it's hard for tight ends to kind of hit the ground running at the NFL, because you have to know the entire route tree in the NFL and all of the blocking schemes. And that really at times stunts people's development, making that transition, even high-end draft picks. So it is very encouraging to see that Mason Taylor is kind of ahead of the game, or at least impressing his coach, who maintains a high standard, and especially a high standard on blocking, and for skill position guys to be blocking in the run game. The last thing I want to talk about today here on Jets Latest is going back to Justin Fields. Listen, Garrett Wilson can be great. Arian Smith, Malachi Corley, the young guys, Josh Reynolds, Allen Lazard, the O-line, the run game, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, who we've talked about, they can all take a step forward. But this is really about our new franchise quarterback who we signed and targeted in free agency, and that is Justin Fields. I have had excitement around Justin Fields because I see continued development as a passer. I am excited as a Jets fan to have that dual threat ability that we have never really had as a QB1 for the Jets. I also note, kind of out there around on other networks and social media, as Fields has been on the field more with this team, more and more people and analysts are starting to see that there is the potential for Fields to truly take a step forward this year. So I want to tell you two things. One, something Aaron Glenn had to say about Fields in OTAs, but also something one of his new teammates had to say about Justin Fields. And that's Josh Reynolds, the wide receiver, who was in Detroit, so knows that offensive scheme, and is a veteran who has played with other quarterbacks. Check out what they had to say about his development, his leadership, him being Justin Fields, our new franchise quarterback. Aaron Glenn says, there's things about that player that every coach wants players to have. He has a quiet confidence and leads the way he wants to lead. You can see his influence with the guys out there. He can galvanize a group of men. He's a talented player, and I'm happy to have him as my quarterback. I really am, because I think the sky's the limit for this player, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do for us this season. But then also, Josh Reynolds had something to say when asked at OTAs. He goes, he can throw it, man. He's got a beautiful ball. He's a smart quarterback, and he's been picking up this offense pretty fast, and it's not easy. I'm excited to see him continue to develop, and we're going to be rolling. I think these things are interesting because Glenn, one of the things he's talked about, as you know, is the traits he looks for is, smart, the idea of being tough and resilient. That's all Justin Fields. But one thing Aaron Glenn always says is the ability to ingratiate himself to his teammates. And you saw a lot of that at OTAs. Guys smiling, guys enjoying themselves. He's talking about his leadership, how he can galvanize a group of men. And I think that's important. And then from Josh Reynolds, everybody talks about the running, the dual threat. But Josh Reynolds leads with, man, he's got a beautiful ball, and that he's a smart quarterback, and that he's picking up the offense. This is an offense that Josh Reynolds knows about with his time in Detroit. and really is starting to expect that confidence, that development. Remember, I say it all the time here on Jets Latest. Fields' completion percentage has gone up from 59% up to 66% last year with Pittsburgh. That number is above league average. So with continued development and another step forward, really, maybe Glenn's right. And the sky is the limit for this player. And remember, we all know what Fields can do as a runner. We've seen him. I've talked about what he can do as a runner, the 1,000-yard seasons, the 100-yard games, what Glenn saw when he was the DC at Detroit, kind of the comps to only Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson, for goodness sakes, right? So I think that is very, very important, and we are seeing that development. So that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. Remember, watch these videos, like these videos, subscribe to the channel as we continue to talk about what we saw in OTAs and what that means as we go into mini camp and training camp for the 2025 Green and White, which is a new brand, a new culture. Get in on the ground floor with these Jets and also with Jets Latest, whether it's Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, Justin Fields, the defense. It is an exciting time to be a fan of the Jets, Jets. And as always, if you want more from me, the spitting statistician Dane Martinez, I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show. Over on SiriusXM, the fantasy channel, number 87, we do more than just talk the Jets. We talk fantasy football, fantasy baseball, all sports. FTN is a great website, a lot of great content, a lot of great tools, data points, simulations, things of that nature to give you the winning edge as a sports bettor, and so much great content to be a better fantasy player, including me hosting the SiriusXM show. Check us out over on the FTN Fantasy Show on channel 87, all right? Continue to engage with me. You can follow me on Twitter or X at Spittin' Speeds. Hit me up in the comments. I love talking with you Jets fans. I'm excited to see the growth of the channel, the subscriptions, the views, things of that nature, and I really enjoy the comments. I like engaging with what you guys have to say on these videos, so feel free to drop a note as well, all right? We'll continue on all week talking about what we're seeing here out of the Jets, so keep it locked and tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. But for now, we out of here. See you tomorrow. Peace.